Can the Ohio State Buckeyes get over the hump in 2023? The standard at Ohio State is unlike anywhere else in the country. We've talked about it a lot on this show. Allow me to reintroduce it. It's beat Michigan, it's win the Big Ten, and it's win a national title. The last 2 years, Ohio State has gone 0 for 2. CJ Stroud gone to the league. What do we make of this coming season for Ohio State? The question has to be asked, as it is May, what do they have on this roster? Is this roster right now capable of accomplishing their goals? Can they get over that hump? I asked the question yet again. We got to start on the offensive side of the ball, and the skill is still Ferrari-like. Marvin Harrison Jr. really could have been a top 10 pick this past season. Emeka Egbuka going to be a dog for you yet again. TreVeyon Henderson, you hope he stays healthy, could be one of the best backs in the country. Mayan Williams, the Thunder to TreVeyon Henderson's Lightning. They have so many pieces from a skill player perspective to pick up right where they left off. Score well over 40 points a game. The offensive line, you lose some pieces. I think they'll be okay there. The question all comes back to the quarterback position. Devin Brown and Kyle McCord. 2 5-stars. Take your pick. It's not realistic for us to just assume that it's going to be the equivalent of what we saw with CJ Stroud, because CJ Stroud is gone to the league. CJ Stroud was one of the best quarterbacks in Ohio State history. So we can't ask Kyle McCord to be CJ Stroud, can't ask Devin Brown to be CJ Stroud. But with it being May right now, I don't think you feel overwhelmingly concerned about either one of those 5-stars getting the keys to the Ferrari. Because that's exactly what it is right now. The Ohio State offense is a Ferrari. And you have either 5-star quarterback getting the keys. So right now, without seeing too much from them, I mean, Kyle McCord in the spring game was a little bit underwhelming. Didn't look bad, just a little bit underwhelming. I just think we need to sort of take a pause right now and understand that the Ohio State offense itself will be, at the very least, very capable of doing more than enough to get over the hump in 2023. A lot of it rests on the quarterback, but they're going to be very, very capable of getting past Michigan, getting to the college football playoff yet again, and winning a national title. A lot of it rests on the quarterback, but the pieces, I just want to say this, the pieces are absolutely there. Make sure you're subscribed to the On3 YouTube channel. Ohio State fans, we've had a lot of y'all join us in the past couple of weeks. If you haven't yet joined the party, no time like the present, would love to have y'all here. We're live twice a week. Tuesday, Thursday, 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern. So tomorrow, we're on the air. Come right back here, hit the bell, make sure you're locked in. We'll have a good time. We appreciate y'all for that. Okay, so that's the offensive side of the ball. Not really concerned. You expect the quarterback play to be good enough, and you know the skill positions are pretty much as good, if not better, than anywhere else in the country. The offensive side. The defensive side is a little bit intriguing. Going into your second year now under Jim Knowles, the new DC at Ohio State, and people are going to be quick to say when it comes to the Michigan game, man, we got to be better in the trenches. Defensive line gave up way too many rushing yards. We were not good enough. Those 2 long touchdown rounds by Donovan Edwards, I mean, that was the difference for us. We got to get better on the defensive line in the trenches. I sort of sit there and say, okay, I hear what you're saying. That rushing yards number is not encouraging by any stretch the last 2 games against Michigan. Also, by the way, Penn State, you got to deal with them. They arguably have one of the best running back tandems in the country as well. You got to play Nick Singleton and Katron Allen again. But then I look at the defensive line and I say, I don't know that I see a ton of issues personnel-wise. You say maybe we got to play better, but I don't think you need to necessarily be better. You got JT Tuimoloau, who I expect to be a first-team All-Big Ten guy in 2023. You got Jack Sawyer, who now gets to focus on strictly being a defensive end, whereas he was kind of splitting duties last year, having to play defensive end as well as a little bit on the edge. Tommy Eichenberg, first-team All-Big Ten linebacker, he's coming back. Mike Hall, I think he's going to be a stud for you. So I look across the trenches, and I'm like, I don't see a personnel issue. Do you want to see them play better? Of course. But I don't think that's the reason why you're holding your breath about the game against Michigan or the game against Penn State and getting back to where you want to ultimately get back to. The thing that I'm looking at here pretty closely is the secondary. Because if you go and turn on the tape, that game against Michigan, I was fortunate enough to be there. It was the secondary that didn't hold up their end of the bargain. Had a couple of busted coverages, a couple of plays where guys just misaligned. Also, in those long touchdown runs by Donovan Edwards, those were issues in the secondary. Ohio State wasn't getting blown off the ball when you go back and watch those games. Ohio State wasn't just getting dominated in the trenches. It was the secondary not being able to fill appropriately on those run plays. They fit it the wrong way, and you fit a run play the wrong way on the back end, you're the last line of defense. We're getting run past here, okay? That's not good for business. So when you look at that game specifically, I think it's a good microcosm for what Michigan was able to do to Ohio State and what Ohio State didn't do well in the secondary. And so you say, okay, secondary has to get better. I think that is a fair statement to say. What did you add? Well, you add Jahad Carter, who was the #1 safety available in the transfer portal. You added Davison Igbinosun, the corner from Ole Miss, who played a lot of football at Ole Miss early in his career. He's a guy you're excited about. And then you talk about the guys that are coming back. I mean, Lathan Ransom, I think he's going to play with an edge. He did not play his best football in that game against Michigan, in that college football playoff game against Georgia. I think you see an improved version of him. I think Denzel Burke on the corner as well. He's going to be a guy that I think comes back with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder after having a really great freshman year. Then last year as a sophomore, didn't necessarily live up to the expectations people had for him in Columbus. This is a team that when you factor in the new faces in the secondary, and then you also look at the progression and maturation you expect from some of the guys that have now played a little bit of football for Ohio State, you start to feel a little bit more encouraged about what you have in that secondary unit. So I'm looking top to bottom. Offense, the quarterback is a luxurious question mark, as we like to say. 5-star talent taking over for our even offense. Yeah, I think we'll be okay, barring something wildly unforeseen. They haven't done it yet in the game, but you feel relatively confident they'll be good enough to at least allow you to compete in both those games. Defensively, I'm not worried about the trenches. I see a bunch of dogs in the trenches. I'm worried about the secondary. And what I've seen them do via the portal in the secondary, I'm encouraged. And I think there's every reason for optimism. I think there's every reason for Ohio State to have the standards that they have. So for Ryan Day and company, the gauntlet is set before them. It has been thrown down now for 2 consecutive years by Michigan. And Ohio State wants to beat Michigan, yes, but I promise you, they don't want to just beat Michigan. I mean, if that was all that you allowed them to do, if they had to pick one, I promise you, beating Michigan versus making the college football playoff, that'd be a conversation you have to have, just because we know how that rivalry is, being able to experience it firsthand. But what I'm trying to tell you is Ohio State has a roster here. We're still waiting to see what some of these last big names in the portal do. They have a roster here to get done everything they want to get done in 2023. If they don't accomplish what they want to accomplish this coming season, it won't be for a lack of personnel, as far as I can tell. So for Ohio State, the ball is in your court. Your future is in your hands. The mission is clear. It's time to go out and accomplish it. I'm very curious to see the kind of edge we see from this Ohio State team. Because you lose one time to Michigan and, okay, it happens. Nobody's accepting it. Nobody's saying it's okay. But we all came into this year's game against Michigan saying, okay, Ohio State, now they got the quarterback. Now they've kind of caught their tempo. Last year was last year, but it's back in Columbus now. And then Michigan did what Michigan did. It felt pretty similar to the game that we saw in Ann Arbor in 2021. And so now Ohio State, let's be honest, they're down in a sense. I don't think they're down morale-wise. I don't think they're down in terms of what they expect from themselves. But when you look at this rivalry, you've gone 0 for 2. You're down 2 games to Michigan. How do you respond? How do you respond when you get knocked back on the canvas? How do you respond when you're on the ropes if you're Ohio State? I'm very excited to see what's under the hood with this team, and I think they're going to respond in a very aggressive and demonstrative and assertive way. But I promise you, we will cover Ohio State extremely conscientiously, and I'm fired up to watch what they do in 2023. Ohio State Buckeye fans, make sure you're locked in right here. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Talk about college football here every single day on the Hard Count on this wonderful platform that is, like I just mentioned, the On3 YouTube channel. Okay, we love y'all. We appreciate y'all. We're live tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern. We're going to keep the party rolling, and we will see y'all next time. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.